Elliot.
Hello.
And also Sam.
Hi.
We've never done that beginning intro with two people.
I'd just like to say to the guy on YouTube who called me interruptive, I'm not that interruptive.
I quite like that guy, actually.
Yeah, no, that was funny, but unfortunately he won't see this, so...
No, he won't see this ever again. Gone, dead, blocked. We've gotten some wacky comments over the years.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to talk about the major, obviously. We're going to set this very simply into old major stuff. So opening stage, then we'll talk about group stage coming up. That'll be starting tonight as you hear this, I think is how this works. But before we get started, I want to talk about the one other story of today, which is HLTV last week, in between podcasts, created the Hall of Fame and then have already determined who's going to be inducted into it. And I have a bone to pick with it.
I do as well. But you go first.
You start because I want to remember who they said was eligible.
Okay, well that's one of... I have multiple bones to pick, honestly.
Okay.
First off, I think it's fucking stupid that if you're active, you can't be inducted into it.
No, that's wrong.
No, that is a thing. That's why Neo...
No, I know. I'm saying that is wrong. You should have to be inactive. I refuse to let people be active.
No, because there's no reason why Zonic shouldn't be inducted. There's no reason why Neo shouldn't be inducted. But also, I think it's kind of stupid to have playing career and coaching career be put into one.
I don't know,
So,
I think that's reasonable.
I don't have an issue if they're a coach now for it to be. I have an issue if they're still an active player. I do not think any active player should be inducted.
But do you not think, I think Flusher could be inducted even though he's, technically still on Eyeballers, or even if he's not technically on Eyeballers anymore,
no, because
still technically, active.
You and I have talked for, 20 minutes about this, because when the League of Legends Hall of Fame started, we had a discussion about Faker being inducted, and he's an active player still, and then he got inducted and then won another championship, and now it's kind of awkward that they made this stupid expensive skin and he's won another championship and it doesn't show in that. And that's neither here nor there, but when you induct someone to the Hall of Fame in the NBA or the NFL, you have to be 5 years removed from your playing career. It feels correct for people to be removed from their playing career. I don't give a shit if you're in your coaching career. That doesn't matter to me. But I don't think you should be an active player and then get inducted into the Hall of Fame. That's the first bit.
I mean, my only frame of reference is WWE, really.
Does European football not have a Hall of Fame?
No.
No, just tedious debates about who would be in one.
Well, the problem is that each league would have to have its own Hall of Fame. There is a governing body, which is FIFA, but nobody trusts... FIFA doesn't have any credibility to have a Hall of Fame, whereas when it's... HLTV has essentially ultimate credibility in Counter-Strike. The NFL has ultimate credibility in American
Yes, the NFL
football.
famously a Counter-Strike league, the National Flashbang League.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. There's no FIFA aren't taken seriously, and if they started inducting people into the Hall of Fame, they'd start with Michel Platini because he's a high-ranking member of FIFA, who also happens to be a Hall of Fame member. But FIFA are so insanely corrupt, you could buy your way into the Hall of Fame. It'd be a waste of time.
Yeah, I don't love the idea that in a Hall of Fame you could be an active player. And for what it's worth, when you and I had a discussion about Faker, because we turned it into a discussion about who would be the first people inducted into the Counter-Strike Hall of Fame, I think I had said at the time, Faker was the only person that could be inducted in as the first person, and after this point should only be inactive players. They've chosen to induct 4 people at the same time, which means I don't care, they should all be inactive players.
What if Forrest comes back, though? Is he then retroactively taken out of the Hall of Fame?
So let's talk about who was nominated.
But that is the stupidest thing about it. Sorry to pull an Elliot and interrupt here, but Forrest retired fucking 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
He basically is an active player. This is fucking stupid. I don't care if he hasn't been on a team for a while.
They waited to do the nominations until Forrest was inactive, so that way he could get in first ballot.
Can I nominate BlameF? He's incredibly inactive.
All right, so the list of nominees. So they chose 4 out of, I think there's 11, 12. Kogu from Brazil. CYX6. I don't know which it is.
I think it's 6, isn't it?
6
so.
from Germany. Kenny S from France. Solo from Korea. Hitan, Pati, Forrest, Get Right, Olaf, all from Sweden. Markelov from Ukraine. K Sharp from America, and Fraud from America. So, here's the thing. They chose Hitan, Pati, Forrest, and Get Right. And I have some bitching to do about these choices.
Is it Get Right's inability to aim?
I do not think that... I think Hitan is the only person here that I 100% agree with.
Oh, no, Forrest has to be in there.
I don't
no, Forrest has to be in there.
Let me finish. I don't disagree with Forrest, but I don't 100% think that they should be first ballot. To be fair, I don't know if I think anyone else on this list is 100% first ballot other than Heaton, but maybe Olaf? I would have put Olaf in instead of Get Right. That's
depends.
A personal thing,
It depends, because if you're doing it sort of like chronologically, Forrest has to go in like before Olaf. If you're doing it chronologically and you're including 1.6, like there's probably
I don't
players
really have an
even
issue
know
with
that being there.
Forrest.
Yeah.
Like, but if I went in order, it would have been Heaton first, and then it probably would have been Olaf, Forrest, and then maybe Kenny.
No. Forrest is first for me. Forrest goes in first. And
I'm not gonna pretend to know a lot about Heaton's career myself, but I was just talking about this with someone, and they took particular issue with him because of what they said was a short peak. Now I don't know if that's true, but they said he had a very short peak.
I think a lot of these players had kind of short peaks, to be honest.
I wish we could get their criteria. I want to know what they were judging this on. Is it because you could say it's impact to the game, and that could include lasting legacy and stuff. And I would say Heaton has an incredibly lasting legacy, even if he wasn't the greatest player in game at the time.
I think the fact that I know who Heaton is and he's been retired for 17 years probably suggests he has some impact on the game. On the other hand, I'm not. I don't know Potty. I'll be honest with you.
Neither do I.
He was a complete unknown for me. As far as I'm concerned, 1.6 isn't even canon. Like, it doesn't count, as far as I'm concerned. So, Forrest would be first for me, and then
I personally think it's a bit of a shame, and I do get it. Don't get me wrong; they had a very successful time in 1.6 and at the start of Go, but personally, I think it's a shame that all 4 of the first inductees are from Sweden.
Yeah.
I feel like Markelov is hard done by now.
No, I really like Markelov here. I was talking with Horizon, one of the writers for TLDR on Twitter, and I remember very vividly the 6 years of Flipside Tactics teams that Markelov just absolutely pulled into the major that then spawned so many great players. Okay, he didn't pull them into the major, but like that
he was
spawned,
there.
He was many
on
great
the team.
players from. Like,
yeah, he was just about on the team. But Markelov was, by all accounts, excellent in 1.6.
Yeah,
and it was like that he never really did it in Go, which is probably why he's not on here. But two of these players didn't even play Go. Yeah, like two of these players didn't even play Go. So again, like I feel like I know Neo's for whatever reason like not nominated because he's still active or whatever. I think I do agree if he's a coach, it's clearly nonsense.
Yeah,
because he almost certainly should be.
Well,
one of the
with
first
that
4.
as well, I just think it's fucking cooler as a long-term narrative if you can have someone who's inducted as a player and then like 5 years later they've become a coach, they've won a couple of majors, and then they're inducted as a coach. I think that's a much cooler narrative thing than just, oh yeah, it's all one thing, go fuck yourself.
Okay, so I do have... They did put criteria. I just didn't scroll down far enough. So they did say, we decided to treat one's playing and coaching career as one competitive career that means players such as Neo were not eligible in induction, but as they were considered active competitors. So they did consider Neo for the nominees, but they didn't do it. So the achievement, the elements in which someone would be judged: achievements, significant competitive achievements or contributions; impact, having a positive effect, particularly one lasting after the person's active career ends; and longevity, consistency and length of time spent achieving excellence.
Yeah. To me, the first four should just be, if you were doing Mount Rushmore of Counter-Strike, who'd you put on it? And I don't think Heaton or Potty get on there. For me, Get Right doesn't either, but I can see an argument for one of Forest or Get Right. I personally preferred Forest. Some people prefer Get Right. I think it should be, if you were making the Mount Rushmore of Counter-Strike, the four people who formed the game, who are they? And I don't think Heaton and Potty get on there.
Would you put Simple on it?
No.
Personally, I would. But I can see the argument that he wasn't because the Mount Rushmore is the founding fathers, right?
Yeah,
It's not just
if
the
I'm
four
gonna
best, so I guess no. But to me,
I think Mount Rushmore has become the four best,
yeah,
rather than
but
the idea of founders. And which, if you're doing founders, Get Right has to be on it.
yeah, that's fair.
if I'm doing Mount Rushmore, it's Olaf, Get Right, Forest, Kenny.
Where's Steele?
He's not on the Mount Rushmore. He is on the Mount Rushmore of memes involved with
Yeah,
Counter-Strike.
that's the thing, right? Like, how many? I don't think I'd be as interested in Counter-Strike as I am if it wasn't for Steele, Dazed, and Mo.
I was just gonna say, if I was gonna make a Mount Rushmore of Counter-Strike memes, Dazed would be the first ballot vote without a question.
Steele's superior to Dazed in that.
Well,
like,
I said first ballot. I didn't say
Yeah.
the only person there, but like.
Steele is genuinely one of the reasons I think I got so into Counter-Strike, because of just like the NAFPL things were just so funny, and they actually sort of transcend Counter-Strike in a way that what Forest and Get Right do kind of doesn't, in a way. And I know that's ridiculous, but like,
I know.
I think more people have got into Counter-Strike because of Steele than most great players.
It definitely helped. It definitely helped me when I was getting into it.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, interestingly, I would put Simple on the Mount Rushmore of Counter-Strike memes.
Yeah, I mean, he had some.
Why you
bangers.
bully me?
Yeah,
I mean,
Why You
that's-
Bully Me was a massive one.
That's a big out of Counter-Strike. All right.
Yeah.
Shall we talk about Counter-Strike? The
No.
game.
Let's not.
No, let's keep
Alright.
arguing.
All right, we're gonna pull this over. Opening stage of the major just wrapped up. Very early this morning here where I am. I actually this morning for you guys as well. We have our 8 folks pulling through. And if you guessed that out of the 8 teams coming through, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them were from the Americas, Jesus Christ, what the
5.
fuck drugs were you on?
It's 5, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was counting
sorry,
with my
I was-
hands.
I was also counting at the same time. But then, like, we say they're from the Americas. Neither Liquid or Wildcard are really a America's team.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Let's go through. We'll start with the 3-0s.
yeah.
Sam, you said Mongols were going 3-0.
Oh, it just felt incredibly predictable. Let's not
Yeah.
talk about the other prediction I made. We can skip over that one.
Mongols
It's
are
completely
quite clearly,
unnecessary.
Mongols
Sam,
are
you
quite
said
clearly the best team.
Sam, you said Team Liquid was going 1-3. How did that work out?
So I've got an explanation. They were playing shitters, therefore Ultimate could get a kill.
Did I not say that was going to happen?
Yeah, well, I should have listened to you, like on countless other occasions,
Yeah,
and I
no.
didn't. However, NAF was looking out for me. NAF didn't play particularly well. This is why I like NAF so much.
Yeah,
He's a
he
good
didn't.
bloke.
He didn't need to. He didn't. The thing is, like, this stage, the fact that there's 5 teams that got through the Americas is exactly how Liquid got through. Like, this is the stage. So many of these
it's
teams
so
are
bad.
were just
So
not
bad.
good.
So in their runs, Mongols beat Rare Atom, MIBR, and Gamer Legion. I'd like to note that while that sounds quite easy, Gamer Legion and MIBR
Yeah.
both also went through.
Gamer Legion, probably the second best team there behind the Mongols. To be honest, they're more Liquid.
To be fair, though, to the Mongols' credit, when you say it's easy, you can still have like close games within like easy.
They didn't
looking
have a
games.
close game.
They fucking battered everyone. Like
they're really
I'm-
good.
I'm convinced the Mongols will at least get top 4, and I really wouldn't be surprised to see them in the final.
This is a bold prediction.
Subscribe. No, I agree though. I agree. There's so many. Like, no other team so far has looked anywhere near as convincing as the Mongols.
Plus, like, so many of the teams are dead. FaZe, there's already a report about Fame. There's fucking Vitality. Spinks apparently wants out. G2, we know Nico's going. Munissy's probably being tapped up.
Yeah.
Like, Spirit, awful.
I truly love how we get to the biggest event of the year and we're able to determine that there are dead teams going into the biggest event of the year.
But are we that surprised when it's the end of the season?
No,
yeah,
I'm
not
surprised at all. But like, why are you determining that you are leaving this team regardless of what happens prior to a major? This is the one event you need the team to like exist.
I genuinely don't think there is a single change that Valve has enforced to the circuit in the past year to 2 years that I actually think is good, and this was always going to be the problem with the majors now. Like, Elliot, we went to World Final together last year. What was it? 6 out of 8 teams were dead.
Yeah,
this is what happens at the end of the season. Like,
so
it's not going to magically change because of the major unless they restructure the entire season.
But what the thing is, we were told, like, because World Final came after the major, that's why everyone was changing it. It's like, oh no, if we just have the major as the last one, then everyone can change in the play rate. All that's happened is the major has become World Final, not the other way around.
Which was always what was going to happen. Like, it shouldn't be surprising, because then on the flip side, you get teams like, let's say, Mouse, who aren't dead, but are probably just being tapped up because, you know, like, we know Jimfat's being tapped up. Like, Exertion's probably having people speak to him. Shui might be. Like, I still think if FaZe somehow miracle run this major, Carrigan retires the day after, in which case Shui's phone will be ringing. Like, there probably isn't a team outside of Na'Vi in that, like, top 8 of the elimination stage. Oh, and 3D Max, because who gives
Nobody
a
wants
shit?
their players.
Yeah. There probably isn't a team outside of Na'Vi that isn't having some form of communication already.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. Like, when you look at this major, you think who are your favourites to win it. It's really hard to pick anyone other than Na'Vi because we know every other team is on their way out. And then you look at how the Mongols performed. Yeah. And then you look at how the Mongols performed, and you go, would you, like, if Mongols played Team Spirit in a best of 3 today, who is your money on?
The other thing with Mongols run here, they didn't play any dead teams.
No,
like there were dead teams here.
Yeah,
they didn't play any of them.
No, they played Rare Atom, who were bad, and the other 2 teams they played are pretty decent.
Yeah, I mean, MIB are a legit team here.
Yeah.
All right, so Liquid's run was Cloud9 Wildcard FlyQuest, which hits on Sam's exact point of they played bad teams.
Yeah, but Cloud9 coming into it were actually kind of one of the
but
teams.
Cloud9... No, they weren't.
No.
You've not been keeping up with Cloud9 if you think these fuckers are good.
I don't think they're good. I think they're like...
Maybe one of the better teams, but that doesn't make them a good team.
Yeah, I didn't say they were a good team. I said they were one of the better teams here.
Tallest midget, innit?
Yeah.
Or rather, fourth
they were like
tallest midget.
4'4" rather than 3'3".
They had flashes of brilliance during the RMRs, but then... without us going into a long conversation, which I know we will get to later, Sam, who's the only team Cloud9 beat in this?
Fnatic.
Is it Fnatic?
It is Fnatic, yes.
I'd like
I
to
just assumed you knew that as the resident BlameF hater.
I would just like to
No,
say...
Elliot's the resident BlameF hater. I'm a
hater,
BlameF defender.
I'm sorry, there's a DM that I have from you that says, can we please take 5 minutes to create magic about BlameF? So I assumed that you were...
No. I'm sure we'll get to the magic.
Yeah,
we will.
First of all, I just want to say, Cloud9 went 1-3. They still had the 6th highest rated player at the major, and 4 of the players above him are Mongols players. Icy had a 1.3 in 5 maps, as his team went 1-3.
Which is an overperformance since he's joined the roster.
Yeah, but like,
so exactly. Thanks, mate.
Yeah. No, again, I didn't say they were good. I said they're better than over half of the teams here In
Well,
theory.
clearly not, otherwise they would have gone
Yeah,
through.
well, in theory. Coming
All right.
into it, we were like, I probably would have had Cloud9.
I mean, back in a team with Inters is wild, bruv.
Inters is terrible. But
And I'm sure I probably did back them last week because I
Exactly.
really don't rate a lot of the teams here. But they
That's
were going to
exactly
go
my
0-3
point.
in the next stage.
That's exactly
All right.
my point.
Let's move on to the 3-1 teams. Gamer Legion made it through. I think
They're good.
I had definitely said that I thought Gamer Legion was making it through. I don't know if anyone else did. But they were
Sam will have done.
they were
Yeah,
actually an okay enough team. They didn't have. I don't think that they had particularly incredibly high highs. I also don't think that they had an incredibly low floor either.
Do you know what with this Gamer Legion, right? They will not stay together for longer than 6 months. I mean, after
No.
this performance, one of them's probably off in the next month.
They're a dead
should be
team,
Ash.
but in a different way.
Well, it should be Ash, yeah. Well, they're like Mouse, aren't they? They're like
Yeah.
Budget Mouse. Budget FaZe now have their own budget team. And, I actually think if this team was to stick together, they'd be a consistent top 10 team in, 6 months.
Yeah, which I think says a lot about the teams around them at the moment.
I'm not sure if it does. I'm
Legion are
actually
good.
not sure
They're
if it
solid.
does.
They're solid. But
I mean, they'd have to get rid of Torsen, probably, because he's a bit rubbish. But, Slend, Flammus, ZTR, all massive potential. Volt's really solid in his roles, and could play on a better team. Torsen's doing his job.
yeah, but
I don't see why this team couldn't massively climb if they get to stick together.
It used to be top 10, you had to be as good as Virtus Pro, but the thing is Virtus Pro are rubbish now,
They're
so it's
so
actually
shit
just
now.
it's so much
That's just
easier
top,
to be 10.
that's just top 30 now.
Yeah, now top 10 doesn't actually mean it. Do you know who's 10th
No,
in
it
the
doesn't.
world right now? Because I bet
It
it's
doesn't
nobody
matter.
good.
It really doesn't matter which team is top 10.
10th in the world
Fire?
is Astralis.
Oh,
Oh god, it so
They're
doesn't
already
matter.
miles better than Astralis.
Eternal Fire are 11th, okay.
Yeah, who also didn't make the major for what it's worth. Virtus
Still
Pro
sad
at
about
12th. The Gamer Legion are better than 10th, 11th, and 12th.
I wanna talk about the biggest bit of news from the major regarding Gamer Legion, because I think it's fucking hilarious that they played Baby Shark on the bells in Inferno T-Spawn and then won an eco round.
Yeah, the opening stage was not the highest quality game I
No,
ever.
it was not.
Look, it's funny they did it. Let's move on.
Yeah,
let's
funny, and
forget
that's all-
that happened.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to burst that bubble.
It was.
No.
I mean, it was against Passion UA. You kind
It was
of
against Passion.
you just feel a bit bad for them because they actually tried, and
Yeah.
half the other teams just didn't seem bothered.
All right, next 3-1 team was Furia. To
Yeah.
my complete surprise.
No
I'm
idea
not-
if they're good still.
I'm not really surprised at all. I didn't think it was.
Here's the thing
much
about
of a
Furia.
worry.
Here's the thing about Furia. As Ellie just said, I have no clue how good this team is. Absolutely zero. They could be a top. Okay, they're not a top 10 team in the world. They could actually they could be a top 10 team in the world
they're
because we don't
currently
know
8th.
because we don't know what 10 really means at this
I think
point.
they're currently 8th according to HLTV, which
They could also be ranked 43rd, and I wouldn't be incredibly surprised.
The thing is
They're
with
better.
Furia, I agree. I have no idea how good they are. I know they're not terrible.
yeah.
They're definitely deserving of a 3-1 thing, and they probably. I actually think they would have gone 3-0 if they didn't troll themselves and pick Vertigo against Gamer Legion. So it's just what do they do in the next stage? Do you know what I mean?
Nothing.
Could I see them go 3-2 in the next stage? Yeah. Could I see them go 1-3 in the next stage? Yeah.
No.
I don't think they'll 0-3, and I don't think they'd cakewalk it. They'll either scrape through or just
They're a great 2-2 team.
Yeah.
Just a purely definitive 2-2 team. Next team that went through, Pain. Still a good team.
Big Uzera just consistently builds decent teams, and if he can just finally strike gold with a player, he'll finally have a team that can be in the top 5, top 10.
Yeah.
But he's just he's always working with his tools aren't quite sharp enough. That's how I
will
always feel about Payne.
Well, I think the unfortunate thing for Bigu is that he's just like a star himself, so
Yeah.
maybe he takes up a bit too much space, and then the players that would be a little sharper as tools maybe are just locked down to those massive buyout contracts on other orgs. Like, it is just a bit of a shame for him.
I mean, at the end of the day, right, they had a top 10 player in rankings, and if we remove all of the Mongols players, a top 6 player in rankings. They had, and like in Kawez, NQZ wasn't that far behind, Lux wasn't that far behind. I mean, they had plenty of players that were, their lowest ranked player was Snow with a .99.
Yeah.
Like, they all played well. No one played incredible, but they all played well.
Also, Kawez had one of the most disgusting clips I've ever seen.
Is
On
that the Dust 2 one?
Coming
Yeah.
up short, that was vile. Actually, just disgusting. Like, if you haven't seen it, he hits 2 back-to-back 1-digs, gets onto site, hits a third one, picks up a rifle, and kills the last 2 players. It's so absurdly clean. Like, it is like watching... It's like watching somebody do a pre-fire map.
Do you know what it's like
ridiculous.
watching? XMS on Overpass.
It's not that good. It's good, but it's not
Ooh.
XMS. Though. XMS fired 5 bullets.
You didn't fire many more.
Yeah, but he didn't fire 5.
Fair enough.
All right, let's jump down to the 03 teams, and we'll make our way up to the mediocre middle at the end. 03 Imperial. I'm not surprised by this.
No, last.
I'm a little surprised because I would have put like one of FlyQuest or Rare Atom to go 03 over them.
But look at their run. Pain, Fury, Complexity, all slightly better than them.
No, like straight up. But like Brazilian games often can just go either way. But yeah, as Elliot said, not really asked. Like
Yeah, Pain, Fury, Complexity, you're kind of expected to lose all of them.
they're not a
Lost
team
them.
that excite me too much. Like
No, I like Phelps, that's about it.
Vinny and coach's name's Zach, both really nice blokes. But want them to do well, but at the expense of other teams. Like, do I care that much?
The other 03 team is Fnatic, which... So, first statistic about Fnatic is they have never finished last in a major until today.
Yeah.
Well,
They didn't go to a few.
They didn't go to a few, but they had never finished dead last.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean,
Elliot, how are we doing this? You go first or I go first?
Alright. Obviously, this team is terrible, like, 1 to 5. Like, the team is just bad. It just fundamentally doesn't work. You don't go 0-3 at a major, especially losing a best of 3 to Rare Atom. I don't want to be too disrespectful because I like Rare Atom, but, like, somebody went -23 in a best of 3 and won against you. Like, what are you doing? He went 22 and 45 in this series and he won. It shouldn't be allowed. I'm not even joking. Rare Atom should have had to play the next game with 4 players. I'm not joking. But, like... Obviously, the whole team is bad. It just annoys me that people will just give BlameF like, oh no, it's fine. It's nothing to do with him. When every team he's on just is bad. Every team he's on just isn't good.
But
like...
seriously, when you look at some of the teams he's been on, is that his fault? Did he ever really have a fair crack on Astralis? When you look at some of the players, did he?
He had Device.
And like right at the end.
What about the BlameF Complexity team? That was a reasonable shot.
It was good for a while until
I don't know if I would really call it good. I think it was
No, it was.
serviceable for a
They
while.
were like top 5, like at the start of online, right? But either way, that got half ruined by Obo going a bit mental.
Yeah.
But we'll ignore that. And then
he
for
did
some
have Poison
reason,
for a good chunk of that.
yeah,
Poison was good. He's just didn't
well,
crack.
he was good, but yeah. And then
Yeah, but he was good.
Good,
yeah.
but yeah.
And then for
I
some
wouldn't practice if
reason,
I had BlameF on my team. Fucking out. Oh, fuck this. I can't
but
be
then,
arsed.
but then for some reason, complexities, like roster building after that point was ridiculous. Like, as I said to you multiple times throughout the week, Elliot, it's like Real Madrid putting Mbappe and Vinicius Junior in the same team. It just doesn't work.
It's not like putting Mbappe and Vinicius.
No, it is because
Vinicius Junior is
players...
maybe the best player in the world, and BlameF and JKS are like mediocre.
Okay, right.
No, but I think that's an important distinction because Mbappe and Vinny Junior are so good they should actually just work in a front two anyway. It's like if you had Nico,
but neither of them are good at
Mouse,
that. This is the point. This is the point. The point is that you've got players that do the same job, and you're expecting them to work at the level that they do in those jobs in other jobs.
Nico
which is
and
why
Mouse do
Mbappe.
the same thing.
Which is why, yeah, but they're swapping on maps, and they're actually like Mouse.
Actually good.
Mouse has had to like adapt a lot, and is a good player. He's better than any of those players that we've mentioned.
Yeah, but that's kind
and
of.
I bet he's better at Counter-Strike than Mbappe and Vinicius Junior as well. Like,
yeah, but that's kind of my point. Is that BlameF gets treated as if he is a superstar when he's not. He's a good player.
But I think he could be.
But maybe, but he's never shown it.
I can't.
He probably has. He has shown a superstar level. The thing where I think you're being unfair, and I know we had a very long discussion about this, but I think you're being unfair because, and we did somewhat agree, the issue is his playstyle. We've seen on multiple occasions. We saw it on Astralis, and we've seen it in games on Fnatic. When BlameF decides to go, he shits on people.
Yeah.
So in that sense, why can't he be a superstar? If he was to do that consistently...
Because he refuses
Why can't he be Okay, here's a question, right? If you slap BlameF in a team coached by Blade, and he would listen to Blade, where would you put him in terms of, like... Where would you expect him to be in terms of players in the world?
If my grandmother had a wheel, she would have been a bag. What's your point? Like... Yeah. If he would listen to his coach and do what they told him to, I'm sure he'd be great.
But his coaches probably hasn't fucking told him to do that. When's he ever had a good coach? When's he ever had a good coach?
Every single coach he's ever had has told him, actually, no, don't bother killing anyone. Just stand in this fucking corner.
At the moment,
the complexity coach, because
Keita, who is useless, actively useless.
Yeah.
They may as well have a piece of paper as a coach. Like, there's no way Keita's like looking up at BlameF going, "Oh, go on, lad, do some entry in."
Yeah, well,
Fucking go around the corner first.
That's about, they need to sign somebody who's bigger than BlameF to like just mog him into.
Well, Astralis tried that, but unfortunately he was brain dead.
Yeah, he had Peacemaker as a coach at one point on Heroic.
Yeah, which is laughable.
You're not
which is laughable.
He looked decent on Heroic for 10 seconds. That's when before Complexity picked him up. He looked reasonable at that point.
He always looks fine, but he's always a fucking rose in a barrel of shit. That's the problem. Like, he always comes out smelling all right, but his team's always dog shit.
So, but come on. So, we agree issue is playstyle, right?
Yeah.
And that he would be good if he changed his playstyle. We agree on that.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, and move past that, right? If he was getting a free K every fucking round, they would have still lost the game they were playing because the rest of the team is that bad.
They wouldn't.
Bodies are shit IGL.
So
couldn't AWP at all.
Are you telling me if you put like Monacy on this team instead of BlameF and Swap? Oh, I guess it don't. Okay, you put fucking Nico on this team or you put Donk on this team, they don't go through.
I don't think they would.
Yes, they would.
We've seen G2 and Spirit lose on multiple occasions despite.
But they've never gone
players...
0. They don't go 0-3 with Donk. Like,
well, they might.
That
would be really funny. I'd really fucking enjoy it if they did.
Stage. They would. I'm telling you now, Donk would not be losing to somebody going 22 and 45. He would not let it happen. I'm telling you.
It might.
For
we haven't seen it yet.
Elliot is talking about somebody, the player, not just a random person.
Yeah, but also a random. If there was a random person in the opposition team going 22 and 45, he also wouldn't lose.
I can't be bothered to look for a game where this has happened, but it probably has happened.
Donk on this team isn't getting 13-5 by Cloud9, a team you called dog shit about 5 minutes ago.
It could happen.
It wouldn't. That's the problem. Like, BlameF doesn't have the impact of a superstar because he refuses to.
But this is like this is also the thing. you're changing the playstyle. When you're bringing in these players, you're changing the playstyle.
Yes, but that's the point. The playstyle is what makes him not impactful. When you talk about Cold Zero, you don't talk about Cold Zero. Yeah, but if he didn't clutch, he wouldn't be that good. So why are we talking about if BlameF did entry, he would be good? Like,
because we've seen him do it.
but yeah, and I've seen Cold Zero lose a clutch, but we don't talk about him being bad at clutch. Like, you don't say, oh yeah, but if Cold Zero didn't clutch, SK wouldn't have won anything, so it doesn't. So
But
he wasn't really good.
I'd also like to point out that in a tweet you gave an absolutely ridiculous list of names that Fnatic would have gone through if they had them in.
No, I stand by it. No, I said they wouldn't have gone 0-3.
You had multiple. Okay, fine, but you had multiple players more passive than BlameF on that list.
Yeah, but they still have more impact.
They don't. Did you see Frozen on mouse?
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
Fine.
thank you.
Fine. Yeah, fine. But nowadays, Frozen's a bit more. He does a little bit more because they have Rops.
Yeah, only because Rops is too busy.
Yeah, but I didn't put
BlameF.
Rops in there for that reason. Because Rops also would have done the same thing.
Look, either way, this Fnatic team is fucking dreadful.
Yeah, it's bad.
And they should probably just kick everyone that isn't BlameF and Mattis.
They should kick BlameF as well. The thing is, if BlameF is that good, why has nobody signed him and tried to change his playstyle? Either nobody else, no like pro IGL actually has seen how good he is. He's refusing to change his playstyle. And he's too difficult to work with.
I was talking about this the other day. I think the too difficult to work with is likely a thing because BlameF, if for some reason you're listening to this, skip ahead 10 seconds. I reckon he's a fucking bell end. But as well, right?
Okay.
In terms of his actual playstyle as it is, I was looking at it, and at the points he's been going to move team, I'm not sure there's ever really been a spot for him on a team very high up.
When Flames became available, Vitality changed a major winning team to bring him in. If they thought
Yes, but
BlameF
Dupree
was really
wasn't
that
very
good,
good at the time.
Okay,
He
but
wasn't.
if they really thought BlameF was that good, they would make a move. They would cutthroat. They would just make
Not
that move.
many. No, not many teams have ever acted like that.
Yeah, but Vitality have. Okay, Spinks is going. Are they going to get BlameF?
Well,
I don't
see,
think
won't
so.
we?
I don't
No,
think they're going to.
To be fair, I don't think they would either because of age. It's not how they operate. It's the same reason why that report that came out about them potentially looking to sell Apex, that was 100% fucking true.
Yeah, I would have thought so, yeah.
There's no way that wasn't true because they would definitely. The one thing that they would have took from all of that, whether it was Zonic or the CEO fella before, is having a younger lineup is better. So when they were supposedly tapping up GymFat, they were almost definitely tapping up Shuey as well.
Yeah.
They would have been looking to just completely bring down the age profile of the team.
All right, I'm gonna cut you all off here because we could talk about this for an hour, and I wanna get through the rest of the teams here, and then we can come back to this a little bit when we talk about the group stage in a moment. 1 and 3 teams. Now, I think let's do a quick pass to the 1 and 3 teams. We'll hit on one team in both 2-3 and 1-3, and I know what the teams are already. We'll speed past the rest. So in the 1-3 slot, Rare Atom, Cloud9, and Virtus Pro. I want to talk Virtus Pro for a second.
Beat Fnatic.
That is true. I want to talk about Virtus Pro for a second.
Only beat Rare Atom.
They're fucking bad.
Yeah, Virtus Pro bad.
Virtus Pro real bad. No one should stay.
I don't know about that. I would keep Jame and go back to the way they used to play.
I am
Does that
inclined to agree, to be honest.
Would that still
And I think,
work in 2025?
I don't know why it wouldn't.
Yeah. It's still
I
the
really
highest
don't know why it
ceiling
wouldn't.
game style in the world, in my opinion.
I really just, I don't see why it wouldn't. When you look at Virtus Pro, yeah, okay, maybe they weren't doing great before, but what's his name? Mia Bot.
Yeah, he really got worse.
And then they bring in Electronic, and he's just destabilised the team. So ever since he joined, despite the fact that he was saying he doesn't want to IGL,
he's changed
you
the
just
entire
you instantly get so much about like, oh, maybe I'll be the captain in the future. Oh, the system has to change. Bollocks does it.
No.
Bollocks. It might not work all the time, sure. Sometimes, for the way you play, maybe you're not getting the kills or whatever. But now you've just made them terrible.
Yeah.
And somehow worse to watch.
Virtus Pro were... I still believe their playstyle was the highest ceiling playstyle in the world. When they performed to their top level, I think they could and often did beat everybody in the world. I mean, you talk about the major, whatever, they didn't actually beat anyone good, whatever. But, like, that was a proof of concept for them. They have beaten very, very good teams playing in that specific style because it's so different and because when it works, it is so, so hard to play against. When they have momentum, they are impossible. They were impossible to get because you couldn't ever speed up against them. You couldn't go aggressive against them. You had to just sit and stew while you were 1-8 down, and you had to wait for a minute and a half for this fucking execute. And they strangle teams, and now they do nothing.
It used to be their CT side as well, right? And I know Overpass was their best map, but I remember watching. I can't remember whether it would have been a showdown game or a Blast groups game. I remember watching VP play big on Overpass, and VP were on CT side. 3 rounds in a row, Big almost timed themselves out of the round when they were going A. Jame and, I don't know, like Fame or whoever it was, were sat on A site all round. They never even went into toilets, but Big were that scared, clearing out everything with all their util, that they executed at like 10 seconds left. VP didn't give a fuck. They were never fighting. That is why they were so good. That's why they were so good. And like Elliot said, right, that major, right, dog shit. I think they probably would have won that major even if a few of the teams hadn't bottled it, because they were just so perfect in how they were playing their style then, and now they've lost all of it. So keep Jame, probably keep Norbert, because he might not be the best, but he understands what to do.
He's a soldier.
And pray to God you can keep Fame, because Fame's legit. But Flit's gone off the boil a bit, which is really sad, because he was really fun. And Electronic, at this point, is
Glue Factory.
Equal to, and I'm saying equal to for Elliot, but if not more of a cancer to teams than BlameF is.
Oh God!
He's ruining teams.
No, I don't disagree. I actually think he has had a tangible negative impact on this team. That like Mir is famously difficult to work with, and this team looks like they like each other a lot more when he was there.
Electronic should just go and he should just go and make himself eligible for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
A glue factory is what I said, but yeah, that's a nicer way of putting it. I mean, there will be a team, like, Electronic will land on a team, he'll land on Bet Boom or something.
And he'll kill that team as well. Not that there's not much going for them.
No, we're moving on. I refuse to talk about Electronic landing spots on Tier 2 CIS teams. We're moving on. 2 and 3 set, FlyQuest, Passion UA, and Complexity. We did say ahead of this that Complexity were going to be in the 2-2 match. They, in fact, were in the 2-2 match.
Yeah.
They looked not great.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Wait. Complexity you could put them in any Swiss system group in the entire world and they'll be in the 2-2 game. You could put them in the best 15 teams in the world, they'd be in the 2-2 game. Put them in an ESL Impact Swiss system, yeah, they'd still be 2-2. I don't know how. They're always 2-2.
That's so bad though, man. Like, genuinely. Right. Very known fact about me that I despise FlyQuest. But Complexity at this point, they're even worse, man. Like, why are Floppy and Grim on that team? Like, it's such a shame about Floppy because he used to be like actually a very solid player, but Grim has he ever been good? But they're not even my biggest problem, right? Like, JT has that team ever gotten better because of something JT has done. It got better when they raised their floor with Halzerk. It got better when they raised their floor and ceiling and whatever else with Elise. But JT has done nothing. And I bet you, I haven't looked to see if this has happened, but I bet you if there was an interview with JT after they got knocked out, he'd be talking about how they're still inexperienced, and especially inexperienced on stage. Like, fuck you, you've been doing this for 3 years. Get
They
out.
wouldn't be so experienced on stage if they ever got to one.
Like,
It's kind of your
just
fault.
Get out.
Like, we're inexperienced on stage is, like, it's quite telling, really. You've been there for ages. If you were any good, you wouldn't be inexperienced on stage.
But
And
we talk about VP and Fnatic needing to make big changes. Complexity need to just as bad, if not more. Worse.
Yeah.
to be getting some visas from a European players, I think that's the best bet. But they won't.
Yeah,
they have to stay American for their brand.
If they don't look like Wildcard and Liquid in 6 months' time, fuck off. Like, I'm so sick of them.
But do you know what the worst bit for Complexity is? They can't even steal Wildcard's best players because they're all European and there's no Americans on that team except JBA. They can't even steal the best players from them.
Who they could steal,
Stanislav.
to be fair. Also
Yeah,
get
no,
Stan.
they could-
6 months they'll win a major. I mean, he'll be a prick afterwards, but
I'm
he'll
sorry,
win that
you're-
major.
We're really going full circle Stanislaw here? That's
Yeah.
what we've come to?
Yeah.
I think because of, and
Yeah.
seriously, because of Steele's ban, Stanislaw is the greatest IGL in NA history.
Well, okay, hear me out here. I'm not
Tell me I'm
disagreeing
wrong.
with you. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I have a
Tarek
hear me
won a
out
major.
moment, okay?
Next.
First of all, the greatest IGL is Sheikh Zula, and I will not be taking
He's the best
comments on that.
scout in NA history.
Number 2, Steele gets unbanned at the beginning of this coming year. And I'm not saying he should be a player, but someone should
should.
take Steele and Stanislaw and just give them the fucking reins to another team.
That sounds horrendous.
That
sounds horrendous.
No, I'm here for it. I'm telling you.
I thought it was bad enough me saying Steele could be on the Mount Rushmore. He's certainly not going to be on fucking Complexity in 2025.
No, not as a
That's
player. Not as a
outrageous.
player. Not as a
Don't
player.
care.
Not as a
He'd
player.
be, he wouldn't be any worse than JT. He would not be any worse than JT. I'm sorry, but he wouldn't. But just quickly on what you said about Steele then, if he doesn't attempt to come back as a player, like, he probably can't shoot anything, right? But if he doesn't attempt to come back as a player, I will be very disappointed.
Yeah, like he should attempt to, but he's going to be awful. Of course
Yeah,
he
yeah.
is.
All right, let's move on to the opening, to the group stage.
Wait.
Okay.
I'm really sorry. Can we just quickly talk about FlyQuest?
I will give you 1 minute to talk about FlyQuest.
I won't need that.
Is it
But
just a minute of you laughing?
It might be. I wasn't
All
decided.
right, ready? Go.
Okay, can I just say, I am so happy that these fuckers are out, right? Because the thing is, it's not even that I would despise them. I'd quite like them if they picked up a couple European players, but the fact that they just stick with Australian players who are back. Why is Alistair on a team? Why does he get to go to LANs? He should be playing. If he ever goes to LAN, it should be in a hall in Sydney. Like, he would bottom frag at Launders LAN. Like, this guy is so bad. He's so bad. I've never seen an AWPer that misses as many easy shots as him, and I've been AWPing for 5 years. Elliot can back me up on this. I am dog shit.
I would
Right,
definitely back
Alistair.
that up.
Yeah, thank you. Alistair is so bad. Just pick up some Europeans, and I might like this team because Inns is really good. Vexite is starting to prove me wrong. The rest of them, fuck off. All right,
Inns
I'm
is
done in
so
under
good.
a minute. Inns
Inns
is really
is
good.
so
It's straight. He
good.
does not
It's
deserve
so
that
good.
team.
All right,
It's
we're
so
moving on.
sad.
We're moving on.
It's so
56
sad.
Your 56 seconds are up. You can use your 4 seconds at a later time at your discretion.
Thank you.
Legend stage, Shanghai Major. Bunch of teams here. We'll start with the opening round. I want to hear in each match same thing we did last week.
God,
Who wins the opener, and where do you think each of these teams end up at the end of the day? Do they move on? Do they not move on? And if you're bold enough to say exactly where they'll land, we'll do it. Let's begin. G2 Mongols. You already determined Mongols is getting to the finals, so where's G2 sitting?
Both of them go 3-1.
Yeah, and I can't tell you who wins that game.
No, I've got no
Yeah,
idea.
I
honestly,
agree with that.
I'm not willing to put a prediction on that game. I think that is very, very 50-50 with how Mongols are playing and how
do you know what's
unsure I am about
interesting?
G2.
Do you know what's interesting? This is a European team versus an Asian team, and the Asian team play with a system, and the European team play like Tai Lu.
This needs
it's like a flip.
The Tylooification of G2 needs to be studied.
Yeah. Do you know what? Minus snacks plus BNTet. Move on.
Navi Liquid. I'll be the first to say Navi win this game. Navi go through to the next stage. Liquid are in the 2-2
obviously.
game.
Yeah, I think Na'Vi will batter them.
Yeah.
I know Liquid
think
have
Na'Vi
got a
gonna
couple of
batter
wins.
everyone.
Like Liquid have got a couple of wins against Na'Vi when they first formed, but they ain't beating them again. It ain't happening.
It's Blade at a major. I don't know what more that we need to say.
It's Bit at a major.
It's Navi at a major.
Can I just say as well? I really hope Wonderful has a big tournament, because part of me is very worried that Simple might be doing some politics in the background, and I think Simple would kill this team.
Oh yeah. Oh
Like,
yeah, absolutely.
This team
Maybe
is
look,
made
look
because
maybe. Sorry.
no one on this team has an ego. That's kind of like a huge reason this team works, is because everyone is willing to buy into what Alexi and Blade are doing. And even Alexi, who I'd say is probably like the highest ego player on this team, understands someone has to just have a little ego to push it. But no one else has ego. The second you add Simple in, that's a big fucking ego you add in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that team would be significantly worse with Simple instead of Wonderful, and we have proof of that because they were literally significantly worse when they had Simple instead of Wonderful.
Yeah. Gamer Legion and Vitality. We'll start with Vitality make the next stage, and I don't think there's a huge amount of consternation about that. Gamer Legion.
Vitality is such an imperial team. I used to say about Heroic, they just didn't lose to Underdogs. Vitality only really lose against teams who are about as good as them. Like they're Gamer Legion are a very good team. Doesn't matter.
I think Gamer Legion end 1 and 3. Not because
they'll be a 2-2 team. They're a 2-2 team.
You think they're a 2-2 team? I was originally thinking 2-2, but there's going to be a lot of teams that I think are 2-2, and so some of them are going to have to drop to 1-3.
Yeah, but I
don't know
think
if Gamer Legion's
Gamer
the
Legion
team
are
for that.
so plucky. They're just so plucky. They don't die.
They also seem to have some like random pocket strats, and maybe they've gone through them all now. But do you remember that one in the Falcons game with that like really deep CT smoke on Mirage they used on a like force buy?
Oh yeah, I do remember.
That was really cool. Never seen that before.
Yeah,
It's really cool.
I
I've
assumed it.
I've since seen it multiple times, so there's no way it was missed. And I think even then it would be missed to such a degree that it had to be intentional. Really cool. So maybe they've got a couple other things like that cooking that'll push them over the line.
All right, Spirit Furia. Spirit is a 2-2 team, and Furia is a 2-2 team.
I think that this one might just be
bad feeling about Team Spirit.
This might just be like G2 Mongols, so I can't call it.
Oh no, I don't want to.
I don't want to
touch
Team Spirit.
I don't want to touch a prediction here for this game, but I can tell you that these teams will both be in 2-2.
Oh no.
No, I'm concerned. I'm with Elliot. I don't think Spirit will be.
I'm concerned for Spirit.
I think their
Spirit
team is so phenomenally dead.
I think Spirit are gonna go like. If I had to guess the Spirit journey, they're gonna win this game. They're gonna win the next game, and then lose every best of 3 until they're in 2-2.
I could see that. I could also see them going 0-2 in the best of ones, and then scraping to 1-2 and going out. I'm really scared for Spirit. I have not been convinced when I've watched them for the last 3 months.
I don't think I've ever thought this about any team ever going into a major, but they could end this stage with any record, and I would not be surprised.
I'd be surprised if they were 3-0. Very surprised.
That's the one. That's the one I'd be most surprised if they went 0-3. Genuinely, don't think I'd be that surprised because they have looked.
No, Sam,
so
you're
bad.
wrong because every other major I've thought that about G2.
G2 will never
No.
go 3-0. They just won't
No.
go 3-0.
No, I've never thought that about G2 because I've constantly been like confident they won't get eliminated, and then
I've also
Paris.
felt that about Furia before, for what it's worth. Especially in opening stages. If you told me in that last stage that Fury could have gone anywhere between 3-0 and 0-3, I would have believed you.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I have no idea where to place Furia. I think they might outplay Spirit.
All
I wouldn't be surprised to see Fury in the playoffs, honestly.
Yeah.
And I'm like I said earlier, I'm not sure if that's because of them or because of everyone else.
Mao's Pain. Mao's is a very hard team to determine where they're going, and I would like to bring up
the 3-0
that
team.
Mao's will be that every single match is played with a live audience on a stage.
They'll go 3-0.
You think they're going 3-0 with a live audience on a stage?
Mm-hmm.
If they play Vitality in a 2-0 game, they don't go 3-0.
I don't know that there's a possibility they do without some weird fuckery because of seeding.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
I don't know.
I think
I
think it is quite difficult if they do, because they're ranked 3 and 5. It gets very.
But if they're 3-0, there's
okay.
only 4
Well,
teams there.
but okay. So, without looking at any of the seeding or the bracket,
Oh yeah, if they played each
Bullshit.
other, they
My-
would lose there.
my expectation is that the 2-0 teams will be one of G2 and Mongols, Vitality, Na'Vi, Mouse.
Yeah, I could see that. I could agree with that. Where do we think Pain ends up? Because Pain feel like
Out.
1-3.
I don't think they leave, and I don't think that they're a 2-2 team.
They beat FaZe in a 0-2 game. No, they don't. They beat somebody. I don't know who. They might get Fury or something and beat them, but I don't see Pain beating. I think any of the European teams. Maybe that's just me being biased. They might be big.
Okay, so I was gonna say that originally I was gonna say that Wildcard and whoever loses out of 3D Max or MIBR will be 0-3 teams. I've just seen that Wildcard are playing FaZe, so they're going 1-0.
That's the most perfect.
Before you, I'm sorry, very quickly before you get to this, we did not talk about the 3-2 teams. It's Wildcard, Big, and MIBR. We just absolutely totally forgot to talk about them. That's it. You could please continue now, but those were the 3-2 teams.
Therefore, I think Pain actually stand a reasonable chance of going 0-3, and that makes me quite sad.
Yeah,
That's all I have to say.
I think Wildcard are just dangerous and FaZe are vulnerable. But it's
who do
always
you think wins there?
It is nothing to do with Wildcard and everything to. I do like them and agree with what you just said, but it's everything to do with FaZe and Swiss systems are just a laughable team.
I know, but it's almost too perfect to storm. You know, like when everyone was saying, "Oh yeah, no, Jerry's fours here. They're a dark horse," and everyone was, and it's like, yeah, it's
No,
too
I'm
good.
sorry, mate. If FaZe could lose to ITB in Paris, they can certainly lose to Wildcard here.
Oh yeah, they can. I don't know. Part of me wants to see, you know, an NA team, quote unquote, knocked back down. So I don't know. I think FaZe win it in overtime.
I was going to say 16-14 Wildcard win.
Yeah, it's an OT game. I think
Real scrappy last couple rounds.
it'll be on Inferno as well somehow. Every wildcard game's on Inferno. I think every game I seem to watch them on, they're playing Inferno.
Heroic Big.
2-2, 2-2. That is somehow both are 2-2.
Heroic 3-1.
Ooh.
Fifth best team
Do
in
we-
the world.
do we-
Well,
wanna
actually,
take
no.
this-
Oh,
can we
this
take this
has
moment?
reminded me.
Yeah, I
Take
was
your
asked.
moment. I'll do my thing.
I was asked ahead of time by the two of you to give a moment on the heroic fifth best team in the world.
Oh,
Yeah.
I forgot I'd asked. Right, okay. I want to do a thing, Elliot.
Yep.
So, if Heroic... Well, I'm just going to list a few teams, and I just want a yes or no. If Heroic were to play 5 best of 3s against these teams, do you think they would come out winning 3 or more? Where's
So
the
best of
ranking chart?
15.
Essentially, I guess. So, Navi,
No.
G2,
No. But it's not
Vitality,
that far off. No.
Spirit,
Yes.
Mouse,
No.
FaZe,
Yes.
the Mongols.
Depends on what stage it was at. It's close. I think maybe. Yeah, I think so, but I'm not sure. Mongols seem to choke in big moments. We haven't really seen heroic in them yet.
Eternal Fire,
At the moment, yes.
Liquid.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I just
think
wondered
it's-
whether you'd actually slightly doubt yourself if you had the teams.
I think
Actually
Mongols
put
are the
there.
one that scare me the most. I think Mongols. I think Na'Vi, G2, Vitality, Mouse are the obvious top four, and then I think it's like if you think Spirit, just about hold it together enough to stay fifth, or do you think the Mongols, or do you think heroic?
Well,
I think
so-
heroic, but
so the reason I wanted to do that is because I was thinking about it more afterwards, and I was like, okay, if I gave heroic an isolated best of three against FaZe or against Spirit right now, do I think heroic would win it? And I was very like, it could go either way. But then if it was like multiple best of threes, did I think heroic would come out on top? And I wasn't sure.
it's tough. I mean, it's really hard to know. I think when I look at heroic man for man, there's no reason they like man for man. You look at that team, and it's all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, no, that is a team that could be top five. Like all of these players are really good. You can argue about.
Yeah,
kicks
and
out.
what I want to say is that actually does just mean that how much Tesses has stepped up, and
Oh, I think Tessus is great.
fair play to him. I always thought he was really good at what he did in the previous heroic. Didn't think he'd ever really be able to do what he's doing in this heroic. Fair fucks to him.
Yeah, he's actually like
Very good player.
of all the heroic players who were the players who were on that great heroic team, great quote unquote. Him and Shush are the two that have proven to be most valuable. I think most people would have had Cadian and Stown or something.
Well, apart from me, I always
yeah,
said
I mean,
they
some
were
of
the
us
most
were.
valuable.
Some of us would have had. I probably would have had Shush and Cadian, but
All right,
Cadian's proven to be a bit of a busted flush.
Let's finish here.
A what?
We've got a couple more matches.
Never heard that term. Sorry.
Yeah, it's fine.
Wildcard phase.
I mean, as I've said, I think wildcard.
Overtime, probably both don't get through.
Wildcard
Three-
won't get through. FaZe could.
FaZe
Finally,
will somehow be playing complexity in a 2-2 game.
I think this is the most interesting match. 3D Max MIBR.
That's the least interesting.
Yeah.
No, because I think both these teams are. Neither team is good. Neither team is if we were actually seeding these teams, they'd be right next to each other, and I think this will be close because of that.
Yeah, it will be close.
Whichever
I'm not
team
sure how
loses
much
goes
worse.
0-3.
I think 3D Max might be a bit too good to go 0-3. I don't know.
Then you go,
Or isn't
well,
it
one of these
four
teams
players
won't.
playing their first major?
Yeah, I don't know. I think they might just sneak a win.
All right. You guys have any other bits? Sam, you want to use your last 4 seconds about FlyQuest?
I don't want to
Yeah.
use those 4 seconds, but I did have a question for you both.
Go on.
And I'd like to do this again in a week's time. So, of the teams that have been eliminated already, what is one player you think is likely to be very sought after in the impending roster moves?
Elige.
Jambo.
Interesting. I was going to say Fear.
When I watched, Jambo was the most
Oh, he's
exciting.
very good, and I forgot Elige was probably an easy answer for that. So
Elige
Logan,
is
what
a
about
really
if not?
easy answer.
What
Well,
about
Fame
if
as
not?
well.
What about if
Yeah.
not Elige?
If
You can't
not
say Fame
Elige-
because Elliot's just said him.
no, that's.
Electronic.
I mean, how much do you buy into the heavy god of it all?
Yeah,
How much do you buy into those Cloud9 players? Like, realistically, the player I think it should be is Ins.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
Yeah,
I think Ins is really good. It should be Ins. It won't be Ins.
No.
Yeah.
So the realistic answer is: does a team think that Heavy God will improve them to some degree somewhere? And I think that if Mao's starts losing players, that there's a path in my head of like Heavy God to Mao's. I think a liege will be sought after in America if they decide to blow up Complexity. But I also think that they could blow up Complexity by removing everyone but a liege, and a liege stays.
I was saying this earlier.
I
Like,
think
if I'm Jason Lake, if I'm Jason Lake, you just give a liege 2 blank checks. One of them's for him, one of them's for whoever he wants to get. Like, if you lose a liege, just give up.
I think if you're Complexity, I think in an NA specific bubble, Floppy will be a big person, because I think a lot of teams will have seen the previous iteration of Floppy and think that they may be able to get something out of him. I mean, do you think, like, Imperial still have no way, right? Do you think that the Brazilian scene will go through an entire roster shift?
That just depends what his buyout is.
Well, and also, if you want a Portuguese-speaking player, Elige speaks Portuguese.
And young Master Sweet Rice of Saw fame.
Oh, yeah.
Also.
Furia plus Elige plus Aristos.
Now we're cooking.
Might be terrible.
That's a very
It might be awful.
That's just from the teams that are currently eliminated, right? If you jump to the legend stage teams that we're expecting to be eliminated, I think that there's, depending on how far you think Big go, I think there's a market for Crimbo.
Oh, Crimbo, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think the one I'd say out of those is, and I can't remember if I tweeted it or not, but if I'm Fnatic,
Fozy.
Well, I mean, maybe if you want to say Swedish, but I was going to say ZTR, Slend, and
ZTR is
Ash.
also Swedish, but
Well, yeah, but Slend and Ash aren't, like, those three.
I do think
Game
Ash
Legion
is
how much tomorrow. Ash is money.
should be the highest commodity, full stop, regardless of teams.
The fact he isn't is ridiculous, man. Ash is better than, like, how many coaches in the top 10 is he better than? Seriously.
I don't
Probably
think
all
he's
of them.
better than Blade.
Not
Yeah.
Blade. Certainly better than Taz.
Certainly better than Taz.
Certainly better than ex-Taz.
No. Taz has got that Carlo
Maybe not
Ancelotti,
Halley.
like, doesn't need to know anything.
Maybe not Halley, but also not really sure what he does, considering they have the same playbook as January. Cyclone, I'll say, is very good. Neo, unsure. The rest of them, he's better than.
Yeah.
Ash is money, bro.
Ash is really good. I wouldn't say the Mongols coach.
Mara.
There's
Oh yeah,
there's
fair play.
something that's got to happen there with them making so many roster moves over the last 3 years, that they just continue to get better and better. That there's
Yeah, that was
there's
100%.
props you got to give there, and while Gamer Legion has done the same thing over roster move, it has been to a lesser extent. So there's credit you have to give there. But
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
no, I
definitely.
agree. All right, that's gonna end it for our opening stage and Legends major coverage. We'll be back next week. We'll talk about playoffs next week and whatever the fuck happened here. You can find us on Twitter at Logan Raha, at AZS, at AN1MO with a 1 in it, and
a 2 at the end.
Oh, it's CS2 now.
No, it was last week as well. It has been for a while. The game came out like a year ago.
AN1MO CS2 with a 1, and at ReadTLDR. We'll be back again next week. See you, everyone.
See you later.